G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now, the ACT Integrity Commission published a report last week in relation to the corruption inquiry into Walter Sofronoff, and they found he was guilty of serious corrupt conduct. And Rupert Murdoch was up to his neck in it as well by his journalist, Jeanette Albertson. And I even get a mention in the ACT Integrity Commissioner's report, but they don't name me, and I'll deal with that at the end of the article I just published. I published an article on Sunday, March 24th, titled, Rupert Murdoch should be charged with bribery given Walter Sofronoff's serious corrupt conduct. And the article starts off, Rupert Murdoch bribed former Judge Walter Sofronoff to protect the Liberal Party and conceal Liberals' political cover-up of the rape of Brittany Higgins at Parliament House in 2019. And the serious corrupt conduct finding against Sofronoff last week helped support the bribery allegation. I've written numerous articles about the Sofronoff inquiry and followed it from start to finish. And the ACT's Integrity Commissioner, Michael Adams, had no choice but to make the findings he did because all the evidence was known publicly. I even get a mention in the report, but not by name, which I outline later. Below are some of the key parts of the ACT's Integrity Commissioner report into corruption allegations against Walter Sofronoff. But I want to make a few key points first. Walter Sofronoff leaked the report to News Corp's Jeanette Albertson to make sure Shane Drumgold could not take legal action to stop the ACT government from making it public. A few days after Sofronoff leaked his report to Jeanette Albertson, he also leaked it to ABC's Elizabeth Byrne, but that was only to try to cover his tracks of what he was really doing. Jeanette Albertson says she was also leaked a copy of the report from another source, but Jeanette Albertson lies 20 times a day on a slow day, so she was clearly lying again to protect Walter Sofronoff. Investigation report Operation Juno by the ACT's Integrity Commissioner Michael Adams into Walter Sofronoff. And there's a link in the article to click on to read the full report. And the parts I've quoted are Introduction, Summary of Allegations, page 1, paragraph 3. On the 22nd of September 2023, a mandatory corruption notification pursuant to Section 62 of the IC Act was made to the Commission, reporting there was a suspicion on reasonable grounds that Walter Sofronoff KC, acting as a board of inquiry appointed under the Inquiries Act 1991, had engaged in serious corrupt conduct. The notification referred to two areas of conduct. 4. The delivery of a copy of the board's report to two journalists before it was made public to the Chief Minister, described in this report as additional publications. And 5. Disclosures to and communications with members of the media during the course of the inquiry. The term disclosures and impugned communications are also used in this report as a collective description of both areas of conduct. Now, what I've just read out is 4 and 5 should have been A and B. There's a bit of a typo. So paragraph 4 says, the central question for the investigation was whether these disclosures breach the requirements of the Inquiries Act or other rules or principles governing the probity of the inquiries, such as to amount to corrupt conduct as defined by the IC Act, in substance, as involving dishonesty or recklessness. As it happened, the only communications that were impugned were those between Sofronoff and Jeanette Albertson, a journalist with the Australian newspaper, which is owned by News Corp. And following delivery of the report to the Chief Minister, also Elizabeth Byrne, a journalist with ABC. An important issue in this investigation concerned whether, in deciding to disclose information to them, Mr. Sofronoff failed to afford natural justice to those with a relevant interest, particularly Mr. Drumgold SC and the Chief Minister. In the result, therefore, 4 connected but distinct areas of concern are the subject of this report, collectively referred to as impugned conduct. A. The communications between Mr. Sofronoff and Ms. Albertson that were considered in the ACT Supreme Court proceedings initiated by Mr. Drumgold against the Board of Inquiry. B. The communications by Mr. Sofronoff of confidential matter to Ms. Albertson. C. The delivery of the report to Ms. Albertson and Ms. Burns following delivery to the Chief Minister and before the public release by him. And D. The failure of Mr. Sofronoff to afford natural justice to the persons whose interests were affected by the decisions to make the communications. Outline of findings, page 2. Number 5. Mr. Sofronoff's conduct fell within several elements of the definition of corrupt conduct in the IC Act. His disclosure of confidential material to journalists, contrary to the obligations of confidentiality, prescribed by the Inquiries Act could have amounted to offences against Section 17 and 36 of the Inquiries Act. His disclosure of the report itself to journalists before it had been publicly released contravened the requirement of the Inquiries Act to provide the report exclusively to the Chief Minister to determine the timing and extent of publication, subject to the role of the Legislative Assembly. The disclosures were dishonestly concealed from persons involved in the inquiry, in particular Mr Drumgold and the Chief Minister, which prevented them taking protective legal action. This impugned conduct constituted the exercise of Mr Sofronoff's official functions in a way that was not impartial, significantly compromised the integrity of the inquiry, constituting a breach of public trust, and in respect to his communications with Miss Albertson, gave rise to an apprehension of bias that affected his findings about Mr Drumgold. That conduct could have justified Mr Sofronoff's removal from the inquiry. Number 6, Mr Sofronoff claimed that his conduct complied with the requirements of the Inquiries Act and that he had acted in the public interest to ensure the media were adequately informed about the issues being investigated by the inquiry and in a position to comment accurately about them. However, the Commission concludes that he had not, in fact, acted in good faith, and that his conduct, amounting to corrupt conduct within the meaning of the IC Act, undermined the integrity of the board's processes and the fairness of the probity of its proceedings to such an extent as to have been likely to have threatened public confidence in the integrity of that aspect of the public administration. It therefore constituted serious corrupt conduct. Number 7, no other adverse comment or opinion has been made against any other person or entity named in this report. Key events relating to the media disclosures throughout the conduct of the inquiry, page 4. Paragraph 10. The provision to Miss Albertson of the report was part of a pattern of conduct between Mr Sofronoff, which included a very large number of communications with her throughout the course of the inquiry. This included the provision of witness statements. As to some, they were subject to non-publication order and subject to legal professional privilege, drafts of the report, notices of adverse findings against Mr Drumgold, the notices ultimately appended to the report, and Mr Drumgold's initial response to the notices. Those 4 categories of documents are also collectively referred to in the report as a confidential matter and constitute part of the media communications referred to above. The evidence before the Commission records a large number of interactions between Mr Sofronoff and Ms Albertson by phone, email and text messages. Conclusion, page 69 of the report, paragraph 142. Having determined that the requirements of section 9.1 are satisfied, the next question to consider is whether this constitutes serious corrupt conduct as defined in section 10 of the IC Act. The application of this provision has been explained above. The corrupt conduct will be serious if it is likely to threaten the public confidence in the integrity of government or public administration. Mr Sofronoff's corrupt conduct has significantly undermined the integrity of the board's processes and the fairness and probity of the proceedings. The Commission has concluded that this is likely to have threatened public confidence in the integrity of that aspect of public administration constituted by the Inquiries Act, as well as particular assessments and judgments made in the board's report concerning the administration of justice. Accordingly, the corrupt conduct is serious. My article goes on to say, Shane Dowling, which is me, gets mentioned in the report but not by name. There are 2 points that show I was mentioned in the report, even though I wasn't named, and I'll outline the 2 points and then see what is said in the report. Firstly, when the Walter Sofronoff leaking scandal hit the fan in August 2023, I published an article which detailed my own phone conversation with Walter Sofronoff, which said in part, Walter Sofronoff was personally calling journalists to trash whistleblower Shane Drumgold. How do I know? I spoke to him for 32 minutes after he emailed me asking to talk, but all he did was trash Drumgold. The ACT government were well aware of my reporting on the issue, and this website was even named in court documents in the Shane Drumgold lawsuit that were handed over to the ACT's Integrity Commissioner, Michael Adams. Secondly, in 2014, I was before Justice Adams for an interlocutory hearing in the Munsey v Dowling matter, which was Kerry Stokes and his lawyer, Justine Munsey, suing me for defamation, and the judge was Justice Michael Adams. Adams only dealt with that interlocutory hearing, and as part of his judgment, he made me take down an article that I published accusing him of corruption, so he in effect heard his own case. But I did go on to write more articles accusing Adams of corruption. Michael Adams is now the ACT's Integrity Commissioner, and at one point it was known he had appointed John McMillan as an acting commissioner to investigate the Walter Sofronoff matter, but it was unknown why. Let's see what is said in the report. At page 5 it says, the conduct of this investigation and the handling of an informant. Paragraph 11. Included in the documents provided to the Commission in the mandatory report was a statement from a source who was a potential witness should an investigation ensue. That person had appeared before the Commissioner in proceedings over which he had presided as a judge of the Supreme Court. Since it was possible the person's evidence might be significant in considering the media communications, the Commissioner decided he should recuse himself from dealing with the assessment of the mandatory notification in respect of that matter. Following appropriate arrangements with the Speaker of the Assembly, Professor John McMillan AO, as Acting Commissioner, therefore undertook, in respect to this part of the mandatory notification, the assessment and preliminary inquiry. He concluded that the information from the source was of insufficient cognizance to be considered significant to the assessment and proceeded to assess the media communications without regard to the source's information. Paragraph 12. In the result, Professor McMillan and the Commissioner decided that the issues covered by each aspect of the notification were so closely interconnected that they should be consolidated into one investigation for which the Commissioner should be responsible. This has been done with the consequence that the report deals with the entirety of the impugned conduct. So the report says, 1, there was a statement from a source who was a potential witness. Number 2, that person had appeared before the Commissioner in proceedings over which he had presided as a judge of the Supreme Court. Number 3, it was possible that that person's evidence might be significant in considering the media communications. Number 4, the Commissioner decided he should recuse himself from dealing with the assessment of the mandatory notification in respect to that matter. And I go on to say, unless there was another journalist involved in the media communications who also had a proceeding before Michael Adams when he was a New South Wales Supreme Court judge, then they are talking about me. Murdoch bribery allegation. We published an article on the Murdoch bribery allegation in August 2023 titled, Corrupt Judge Walter Sofronoff was bribed by Rupert Murdoch's News Corp to leak ACT inquiry report to Jeanette Albertson, which starts off, at the same time, Walter Sofronoff was illegally leaking the ACT inquiry report to propagandist Jeanette Albertson. Rupert Murdoch's News Corp was negotiating with Sofronoff to cash in on the dodgy ACT inquiry findings. A lot of people are asking what motivated Walter Sofronoff, former Judge and Solicitor General of Queensland, to put his career and liberty at risk by breaking the law with his leaking of the ACT inquiry report to Murdoch's Jeanette Albertson. Below, we will see the evidence showing some of the benefits that Walter Sofronoff was planning on receiving, and they are linked to News Corp. But firstly, it's worth noting this is not the first time this exact scam has happened, and I've got a link to that article when you can read all the further information. And this article goes on to say, what happens now? Walter Sofronoff has instituted proceedings in the Federal Court of Australia to have the ACT Integrity Commissioner Michael Adams' findings quashed. If Walter Sofronoff failed in the Federal Court, which I have no doubt he will, then it is up to the ACT Police or ACT Director of Public Prosecutions to press charges against Sofronoff. The bottom line is, Walter Sofronoff knew News Corp's Jeanette Albertson was defending Bruce Lerman and attacking Brittany Higgins on the orders of the Murdochs, and Walter Sofronoff was happy to help. I'll keep on following up on the story. Now, make sure you go to my website, Kangaroo Court of Australia, and read that article. It's got a lot of links there with further information. Or go on to my website and search Walter Sofronoff or ACT Inquiry. You'll find a lot more details. I followed the inquiry very closely. And please do your part to help shine a light on corruption and share this video on social media. And please hit the like and subscribe button and notification button. That way you get notified every time I publish a new video. And Kangaroo Court of Australia's independent media. I publish a website and a YouTube channel, and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself, so I'd be greatly appreciated if you make a donation or become a monthly supporter. You can donate any amount, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50 a month, whatever suits your budget. It all helps out in a big way. And you can donate via PayPal or Patreon, and the links for those are below this video on YouTube and also on my website. Or you can go to my website, and on the donations page, there's other donation options. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.